take projection.
Welcome everybody to Taking On Sports. I am TD. That is Greg. Greg, how you doing, man?
I am pretty good. A little warm, but man, it's been an interesting sports week.
It has, man. It has. I guess the big news of the week really is LeBron, now a Sixer, and says apparently that's where he'll finish his career. Signed a 2-year, $8 million deal.
Yep.
Which
Really,
great for the Sixers.
yeah. I mean, if it works out, they win a title. Hey, if it doesn't work out, then spend a lot doing it. Didn't trade anybody. But probably the best way ever to get LeBron in history. Even had it.
Yeah, right. And you're at that point now with Embiid that, if it doesn't work out, then by the end of this 2-year window, it might be time to
Move him.
kind of little franchise reset, build around Jaylen Brown. Hell, trade him somewhere else. So yeah, you never know. It certainly, was definitely a shock to the system to get that notification on my phone, man. Just crazy. We knew it was a possibility, but
Right. I mean, it wasn't anybody's real talking point, though. I mean, everybody looking at Cleveland and Miami, and for a while people were thinking Golden State possibly. But, I mean, Philly was obviously a afterthought with getting Jaylen Brown, but I don't know if people really thought it was a real pass to just some people saying, "Hey, that'd be cool, interesting," and it got really interesting because with that lineup. Man, I mean, Brian could take with that lineup. I mean, Brian could be the third to fourth option. I mean, he could miss half the season if Philly, if they gel correctly. I mean, he only has to play half the season, maybe. I mean, they really. I mean, first part of the season. I mean, he may, if he plays 20 minutes here, 25 minutes, takes some time off, but we need you in April to June.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Same with Embiid, really. I mean, you want him to be healthy in April to June. You just want him to, do what you can to, play. But because I mean that on paper, I mean that's a hell of a team. I know that Embiid has had a health issue. Jaylen Brown has had a little bit, but overall, I mean, that's a squad. I mean, Maxi's still pretty young there. Jaylen Brown, obviously, in his prime. Embiid, when he's healthy, I mean, we saw Embiid, in the couple games he did play in the playoff, he was great against the Celtics, but we all know he's kind of like him and Anthony Davis are kind of the same. When they're there, a hell of a player, but I mean, will they be there? That's the big question.
Yeah, exactly. But you mentioned that starting five. I mean, Maxey, Edgecombe, Brown, LeBron, and then Embiid. I mean, that's tough to beat in the NBA right there. The bench has got to come through the debt. We know our boy LeBaron Philon's having a great summer so far.
Yeah.
And he, there's another, you talk about maybe the best basketball mind ever in LeBron to pick his brain and learn from. So, hopefully he gets.
I'm sure that's why I really can't want to play LeBron.
Yeah. Yeah, recognizes, game recognizes game.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, obviously that's the biggest, I guess, in the national news. That everybody was like, "Whoa!" I mean, interesting. Obviously, they have to gel. It takes some time to gel, but I feel like when you're reach a certain level of and you figure it out by the time team to figure it out. That's the beauty of the NBA. I mean, it's such a long season. Even they started slow in Philly, October, November. So it is what it is. As long as you're coming to form around mid March, you'll be fine. You know.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is. It's all about how they look in come playoff time.
Yeah, because
Can they get in? Can they get a decent draw? And then if everybody's healthy, then that is an absolutely dangerous team in the postseason.
obviously at this point in Philly, it's championship or bust. I mean, nothing else is
Yeah.
gonna.
Oh yeah. No. The process is has been going on for over a decade now, so it's time to.
And
Uh,
obviously, they went. I mean, they went in, but I mean, overall, I mean, what they did. I mean, it's not like they sold everything to get what they got. I mean, they got Jalen Brown, not at a terrible cost. I didn't think.
no, I
Um,
thought they got the better of that deal. In fact, yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and then LeBron. I mean, obviously, he's at the end of his career, but still a productive player. I mean, he's better than shit people in their 20s at 40 something, and the fact that he can give you those minutes when you need them, but at the same time, it's not like you require him to play a lot of minutes. I mean, Philly is going to be a good team, when he's not playing too. They're
Hmm.
still going to be decent. So, I mean, I think it's a
Right.
win for everybody, and just the knowledge that he brings, because obviously, his playoff experience and just his mind of basketball is going to help everybody in the long run. Um,
Hmm.
so it's going to be interesting. Obviously, I think they go to almost, they were almost to the favorite with just Jalen, Adam LeBron. I mean, they might have surpassed the Knicks. The Knicks, of course, still have the chemistry for the most part, and pretty much bring it back to the same team
Hmm.
other than Robinson. But man, I'm thinking right now it's almost a two. Obviously, Boston will be okay and everything, but right now I'm thinking it's a two-team race. I think it's Philly or New York. I'd be shocked if anybody else comes out the East next year as of right now if everything
I
goes.
think. Yeah, I think that's fair. Um, I think Boston will have something to say about it, but we'll have to see, where Jason Tatum is exactly,
You know, and we'll
and
see what Miami
How Mitchell
does.
Robinson gels there and stays healthy.
Right.
What'd you say?
No, I'm saying we'll see what Miami does. Obviously, they got Embiid.
Yeah, right.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, they got not Embiid. They got Giannis, and they got, of
Bam. Yeah,
course,
we'll see. What else,
what
if
we got
anything, they can add. Yeah. So still,
because
still not quite the end of the players moving season. It's just that kind where it kind of slows down and picks up a little again in about a month's time.
right.
I know it was something funny I read. I guess it's some article this week, and it was just like, rival execs don't know what New Orleans is doing. And the quote was like, "What's their plan?" And yeah, I was like, "Hey, welcome to being a Pelicans fan." No, we never know what's going on.
Everybody wonders that.
We
Um,
don't know what's going.
yeah,
Yeah. Are we going to keep everybody? And I mean, as of right now, it kind of appears the strategy is keep everybody, hope they stay healthy, and let's see what this team actually looks like when they
right.
play a full season together. That has yet to
Absolutely.
happen. So who the hell knows? Who knows? Elsewhere in the world of sports, before we get to our ACC preview, uh, Baseball Hall of Fame today: Andrew Jones,
Yeah.
Carlos Beltran, and Jeff Kent, all enshrined. Definitely think worthy all around
Oh,
there.
I'd say so.
Obviously,
Definitely.
yeah, for sure on the first two. At first, when I heard Jeff Kent's name, I was like, hey, "Excuse me, 1 second. The dog is barking at me to let her in." All right, I'm back. My dog loves. We have three back doors to our, to the backyard,
Yeah.
and she loves nothing more than to be let out one and then go to a different one
Oh, to
too.
another one. Oh, of
Yeah,
course.
it's somebody to let her in. So I'm guessing my wife let her out, and then she showed up
Uh,
at the office door here and was barking at me like, "Hey, hey,
it's
let me in."
funny.
But yeah, I was just saying, yeah, when I heard first look Jeff Kent, I was like, always remembered him. Like, yeah, he was always a really good player. I guess a few All-Star games. I was like, is he Hall of Fame? And I kind of looked up his career, and I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it
Yeah, it
probably
was.
should be considered Hall of
Yeah,
Fame second
I
baseman.
was
Yeah.
like, yeah. I mean, I had to look at that too, because I
Mm-hmm.
was like, obviously he was in the game for a long time, and you heard
Mm-hmm.
the name a lot, but it wasn't like But yeah, no, he had a very way more than solid career there. But yeah, I mean, the guy you knew was good, but yeah, but
Kind
definitely,
of sneaky, yeah. You kind of until you really look at his stats and stuff. You're
yeah,
like, oh
like
man, yeah, he was
yeah,
consistently like great,
super
yeah.
good, yeah.
And
I mean,
then,
the other two are no brainers. I mean,
yeah, I mean Andrew Jones, generally considered the best fielding center fielder since Willie Mays, and in the argument, it's one of the two as far as the best ever. What 400? I think he got to 400 career home runs. Definitely had a 50 home run year. A lot of power in the middle of the Atlanta lineup. Just a steady presence there for years. Carlos Beltran was the franchise guy for two different franchises. For Houston and then the Mets for a while. And he's also certainly a guy that not quite a what if career because he still obviously had a great career, but he was another one that injuries kind of cost him
yeah,
some time. And if he had been healthier, man, he could have had a really really great career,
absolutely.
like a pantheon level. But still worthy, like you said, all three guys absolutely worthy.
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, the thing with baseball is so, and I guess just what the writers are just so petty with what they how they feel
It's
about people, and we're so important to the game, and they feel that they're so it's actually kind of it's hard to get in because if they held a grudge against you, or they can keep you out for a long time.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. It can be so annoying sometimes. Like the first ballot thing is always weird to me because I'm like, either you're a Hall
If
of
you're
Fame
great,
player or not.
if you're great, you're
Yeah,
great. Like there's no
yeah,
reason to hold somebody out because nobody ever gets in on the first. But I'm like, dude,
yeah.
obviously
Like,
some people are that good. Like there's no way you can no argument.
yeah. If you want to have levels to it, then actually, maybe do some level. Bill Simmons has this. I always thought it was. Always really liked it, but he had an idea about the NBA Hall of Fame and how it should be like a pyramid, and
Yeah,
only as you go up, then like there's the
right,
numbers get smaller and smaller, and when you get to the top,
right.
it's the top of the top, the
Yes,
best of the best, and only so
right,
many people
right.
are kind of allowed. And if you put someone in one level, then you got to scoot someone else down. And I
Absolutely.
don't know about all that part, but I definitely like if you want to do the thing and you want to say like, oh well, like first ballot, is reserved for like Babe Ruth and stuff like that. Well,
Yeah.
okay, like that's kind of like I said, you're either Hall of Fame or not. So if you want to do something at the Hall of Fame itself, to where you're like, all right, hey, here's
Yeah,
the
two very great
here's
and like
yeah,
legend. I don't.
here's the great, here's the really great, and here's the absolute best of all time. Like
Right.
put them in different wings or whatever. But
Absolutely. I mean, you could do that.
yeah,
Talking about Hall of Fames, I've always thought it was so weird that there's just a basketball Hall of Fame and they don't differentiate between college and pro.
yeah, it is.
They definitely is a difference,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like there's some people that you're like, dude, like college, yes, but just but it's it's a combination of everything,
Hmm.
and that's one I'm always like, dude, they gotta they have to separate that because it's so different. It would be way different.
Yeah, it is. It's a weird. Yeah, how they. I don't know. I think believe there is a standalone college Hall of Fame too, but I'm not sure.
Is it?
I'm trying to think now. I know that I might be thinking of college football one, but I'm fairly
Yeah,
certain
I
there's a
know college
standalone.
football is like in
Yeah,
Atlanta or something, but
yeah. 'Cause they moved it. It used to be in like Indianapolis or something. And they realized like, hey, Atlanta might be a little more of a college town,
yeah,
college football town.
but
But yeah,
like I guess
elsewhere. Oh,
baseball,
go
just the
ahead.
baseball Hall of Fame, I guess was not. But
Mm,
I don't think anybody really thinks college baseball necessarily is
yeah,
a Hall of Fame. I don't know.
yeah. I don't know. It probably is one. Yeah, elsewhere, I guess that was it for the big stories of the week as far as national go. Um, Other than that, it's been, the Red Sox are still on their tear. The Braves had a like every game going down to the last out.
So,
Series of the O's. It's the Yankees. I saw Cody Bellinger went on the 10-day disabled list.
yeah,
Um,
good today.
yeah, looks like you guys. Did you guys win the first two of this series or?
I mean, I really haven't watching
Yeah.
baseball that much. I we did win Saturday and on Friday. Yeah, on Friday and
Yeah, you
Saturday.
did. Okay. That's what I say. I thought you've been helping the Braves out a little bit because I noticed that
The league's gone
there
up.
was, yeah, there were some games put in between us and Philly again
Yeah.
because Philly had gotten it
Actually,
down to
pretty
like they
good.
were one or two back, and then
Yeah.
the Braves are up 6 now. So I guess if Philly wins this, it'll go back to
Yes,
five
we
and a
won
half.
Friday, Saturday, and losing today. But I mean, 7-3 in the last 10, and basically all our stars are out. I mean, for the most part. So
Yeah, right. Max Reed came back this week. Great performance too there. So
that's what you like to see.
yeah. Oh yeah, that could be a huge boon for y'all second half there. There's always those great things we hear it talked about a lot. You know, you're like, oh, you know, it's like getting a guy at the deadline, but it really is. If you can get a guy like Max Fried back from injury and back
Oh,
to his level right around this time, that saves you from having to make a trade for another starter. You know, or at
You
least
have
a starter of his
you
caliber.
have
You
a
know,
guy that's already on your lineup. You're already paying him.
yeah,
You don't have to add more money. Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Make any moves.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean,
what else
Braves
happened this?
fans. Yeah, go
Uh,
ahead.
no, I was saying, I guess the other big thing, if you're a SEC fan, of course, SEC Media Days, but I mean, we'll do our SEC preview in a couple of weeks. But
Yeah.
it's just interesting, you know, you see all these new coaches this year. So that was the
Yeah.
most interesting thing to me. A lot of new faces in the SEC.
Hmm.
After kind of a couple years where there wasn't much movement. So
Yeah, interesting. But yeah, we'll certainly get there too. But man, I don't. It's weird it not being in Hoover anymore. And I know what's his face, Greg Sankey said that they kind of outgrew Hoover, and they're probably not wrong there. But
yeah, good in
it
Tampa.
added a little bit more to its like shit showness when it was in Hoover.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it
It
was
seemed like more of the circus that it used to be. When it was in Hoover, not
it's
where they at Pensacola
much
now
more
or Tampa.
professional. Let's just say.
Yeah, yeah,
Obviously, you know, Tampa, different place for it. I guess first time in the state of Florida, interesting. But other than that, man,
hmm
uh, you know, that's what I spend a lot of time watching the SEC media days, getting ideas, notes,
yeah,
thoughts for the season together. Really, my start
yeah.
of the season, more or less, is when we get to these media days. I think the Big Ten is coming up. It's coming up
hmm
week, but
Yeah, we always talk about it. You kind of start getting the tinglies when the magazines start coming out. Now the football game's back. The video game, so that really starts. Everybody playing it, getting in the mood, and then yeah, media day starts, and everybody's all the big previews are coming out now too. All the websites and the
yeah,
shows are firing up, and predictions are out from the coaches and media, conference media members, and then before
absolutely.
you know it, fall camp's here, and
Yeah, we're about a couple weeks from fall
yeah.
count.
I mean, I think we're about exactly at a month away from the season starting, or so,
Hmm.
pretty close. So,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
that said, let's go ahead and get to ours. Doing the ACC this week, the Atlantic Coast Conference that has expanded all the way to the Pacific Coast. Um,
The world.
but yeah, as if you guys remember right, we break our conferences. What we do is we'll break them into 3 tiers. Break teams into 3 tiers. We got the contenders, the wild cards, and then the basement. And contenders is just teams that we see are pretty certain to compete for the conference crown. Wild cards, or it could be good or bad. It could be like, well, this team might contend, but they're going to need a couple breaks or something to bounce the right way, or they might have a seats from hell, or just genuine. Like, we do not know. And
Right.
then the basement, it doesn't even necessarily mean the worst of the worst. It just means teams that we don't really see a lane
Come,
for them to compete, yeah, on any meaningful level. But, they're still obviously going
absolutely.
to play hard. But let's start with our contenders. And I think we all know one team that is for certain 100% sure in. That's Miami Hurricanes. Greg, New face this year at quarterback, Darren Mensa. A lot of young talent around him back. Malachi Tony. They get him for 2 more seasons, which is just
Yeah,
ridiculous if you're a Miami fan. But
yeah, at least two
Greg,
years with that. I mean, and how good was he as
yeah,
a
right,
freshman? My goodness.
exactly, yeah.
And
Greg, my question to you is though is this has to be the year they finally win the ACC, right?
you would think so. Obviously the favorite going into the season, just because how they ended last season. Obviously, still without an ACC championship, weirdly enough, but made the national title game. So I mean, that really changed the whole narrative around the Hurricanes. So interesting there. Definitely a team that everybody's high on. They again bring in a mercenary quarterback for a year. Little controversy this time because not only did they do it, but they brought in a guy from their own conference. Darian Mensa, and he just signed with
Hmm.
Duke, so they figured. I guess they had to play Duke something out of the thing, but able to pull that off. So that's big. But the biggest thing
Those I was going to say
worry
those two teams meet in Miami on November 14th. By the way.
So obviously, there'll be some feelings there, especially on the Duke side. Manny Ramirez, obviously not gonna. Uh, Not Manny Ramirez, Manny Diaz.
I
Wait a
was
minute.
wondering. I was
Yeah,
wondering if you're going to catch
yeah.
that.
Now Manny Diaz obviously is gonna not. He's obviously gonna remember that. But not only did they bring him in, but they also brought in that wide receiver that uh, from Duke. It was like a 1,200-yard receiver came with Mensa to Miami. So
Oh, his favorite target. Yeah.
what
What
am I?
is that cat's
Cannot find
name?
my notes. I wrote all
Is
these
it
notes.
is it Barcady? Is that him?
Katie,
Barquette? Yeah.
yeah. I guess, the biggest thing you wonder about with Miami is the offensive line. I think
Hmm.
most of the offensive line is going to be new this year. They do have like a stud freshman, um, but a new line. And the thing in today's college football world, your line has to be good because just how hard it is to put a depth together. A lot of good teams don't have a great option behind their quarterback. So if something happens to Mensa, they have a bunch of people that really haven't played football.
Right.
So line has to come together and gel well because yikes, if not.
Well, I'll tell you, the schedule sets up for them to do that. They begin at Stanford, then Florida A&M, at Wake Forest, Central Michigan, then at Clemson on October 3rd. So they get the whole month of September. Some
Yeah.
very winnable games that should see them. Hopefully, for Miami fans and the team itself, they should see them gel and give that offensive line time to gel and figure out play together because it's loaded with talent, but it's just about can they play well together. How do they merge together? Like you said, got to protect Darian Mensa, got to open up holes for the run game, and
And not only that, I
well,
mean, they also bring in that
success.
running back, for another year.
Mark Fletcher, yeah.
Mark Fletcher had a hell of a year last year.
Absolutely,
And
really came on during the playoffs too. Had some big
absolutely.
runs.
So, I mean, obviously, and they had a young secondary last year that played a lot, so they should be one of the better secondaries. I think they do a little rebuilding up front because, I mean, obviously, what's his name was a star last year. Um, he, of course, went to the league in Tampa now. Uh, but and
Yeah, yeah.
Miami, though, obviously, what they did at the end of last year really has set them up for high hopes for this year, which kind of, based on Miami's track record, is kind of dangerous. But nonetheless, nonetheless, you have to. I mean, you can't say that they're not. I mean, it feels like Mario Cristobal has it figured out, but recently it feels like anytime we think Miami, uh, we don't ever. But I think Chris Paul's trying to figure it out completely. He's
I
had
mean,
some. happen.
Yeah.
Um, you you know the he's had some struggles to start in Miami. Of course, the whole fumble when
No.
he
Oh Lord. Yeah.
and losing to Syracuse to go to the ACC title game the year before. Um, kind of learn from that. And main thing though, the most impressive thing that rarely gets talked about is just how well the defense turned around in 1 year. I mean, they went from a joke to one of the best in the country. And I don't think that gets enough talk.
No, yeah, it was absolutely outstanding job last year by the Hurricane staff. Because yeah, 2 years ago,
They were terrible.
let's see, Corey Heatherman. We should
Uh,
give him his props. Defensive coordinator came over from Minnesota and took an offense or defense that cost them a shot at the playoffs and a national title run when
absolutely.
they had Cam Ward and that outstanding offense in the 24 season,
Right.
and turned it around and were part of the strength of this team last year, and so they're looking to be the strength again. And like you said, no more Reuben Bain. That's a big loss, but they've recruited really well.
Mm-hmm.
And the schedule this year is favorable. I think I mentioned those first 5 games, and they get a bye. Then they get Florida State at home, Pitt at home. They have to travel to North Carolina, and then they get another bye. Then the big one on their schedule, they go to South Bend at Notre Dame. Of course, it's out of conference, so
Won't hurt
but that's going
overall
to be just
a
an
national
awesome.
picture.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome national game. Rare big time out of conference game in November.
6:30, 11,
Yeah,
7.
don't see that. And then they end with 3 straight home games with Duke, Virginia Tech, and Boston College. So it's a very,
Think,
very
yeah,
favorable schedule for the Hurricanes to get 10
yes,
wins again at the least, I think.
yeah. Because you would look at the schedule, and there's no point that other than maybe the Notre Dame game where you think that they might lose that game.
No, yeah. Unless Clemson comes out on fire, then. But
Yeah,
we'll get to
Clemson.
the we'll get to
Clemson.
them in a second,
Yeah.
and
But I
I
was
have my
saying
doubts for
Clemson,
sure. Yeah,
in October at home was usually pretty good, but
yeah.
uh, after last year, it's so because everybody's so high on Clemson last year. My goodness, were we high on
Yeah,
Clemson?
yeah.
Everybody was so high
Uh,
on Clemson, and oh my
Like I
god,
said, we'll get to the Tigers in a second, but yeah, I think to finish up on Miami, yeah, I think this is they got to win the conference. If ever you're going to do it, it's got to be this year, and
right?
en route to hopefully for them, a high playoff seed and another run at the title.
I think, yeah. I mean, I'd be shocked if they're 10-2. I mean, I think 11 undefeated, 11-1 is where I kind of see them based upon the
Hmm.
schedule. Right,
Hmm.
they
Yeah.
they they miss some good teams. I mean, miss Louisville, no SMU,
Hmm.
uh, you know, and then they get Clemson, but we don't know what Clemson's really going to be. So that's kind of
Like I
is what.
said, yeah, all those games, and then any other game that could be tough in the ACC, they get it home.
Yeah, I mean
Like I said, they go at North Carolina. Not really. Don't think that they should have any problem there.
they
Yeah, they go at Wake. They and at Stanford. Stanford's the first game of the year, so you really shouldn't have any of that. Like, oh, it was a long trip. Short week, whatever. Like, no, you've had all summer to prepare for it.
And then the other thing, it's not like you have
Yeah.
a big, it's not like, sometimes you have like a big game on a
Hmm.
week or two after that, so you're not really thinking about that game. They really don't have that. So, yeah, they should be all in on Stanford.
Yeah. Yeah, and interesting schedule quirk for them. They don't play a Saturday game until September 26th with Central Michigan.
That
The
is
Stanford
far-
game's a Friday night, Florida A&M's a Thursday night, and at Wake Forest is another Friday.
interesting.
Yeah. But
Interesting.
let's move on here. Let's go the other second team I had. I have 3 teams. This is the other one I felt good about, SMU in the contender tier.
Good.
They got so close. Of course, made the title game 2 years ago. Probably should
Should
have
have been
made the
there
title
last
game.
year. I mean, they
You should
choked
have,
against.
but yeah, two losses that they shouldn't have at Wake Forest and at Cal. Win either one of those, and you're in the title game, and especially the Cal game because that was last
Oh
game of the
my
season,
God.
you knew the stakes: win and you're in. And
Winning your end, and you would think that they probably beat Virginia,
mm-hmm.
and then they're in the playoff because they would
Yeah,
have been high enough. They would have been one of the highest
yeah,
top. They're one of the five highest ranked
yeah. A
conference.
team that
Mhm.
they beat Miami last year. They
Should be.
yeah, a weird loss to Baylor early in the season, but this is a game. Kevin Jennings is back, third year.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
rarity, and that's awesome. If you're SMU with Rhett Lashley, had some overtures from other schools, but he wants to stay like there in Dallas. And
I don't. You really can't blame him because you feel like he's in a good spot. I mean,
mhm.
we talked about before when they're winning, there's a lot of money at SMU, and they'll throw it at the program. They want to be good, and now they have reason to want to, to be interested in the program.
Yeah, but yeah, it's their time. They got to take the next step. That's what's on the plate for the Mustangs here, and they started out big at Florida State on a Monday night game.
That's huge for both teams. That's a
Yeah,
big thing for both teams.
it is. Yeah, and then 2 weeks later they go at Louisville, and that'll be a huge early season ACC game.
Yeah, they have a
Uh,
tough. Yeah, I mean, shit. By the if things were to go wrong for SMU, they're almost out of the ACC race by the end of September if they lose both. If they lose
exactly. Yeah, if they
both
don't split that now, if they get the split or if they win both,
they're fine.
uh,
If they win
they're
both, then they're
they're in
amazing.
really good position because the back half of their schedule I think is so much easier. They do get the back half of their schedule after their bye in mid October. They get Virginia at home, Cal at home. They go to Syracuse. Then they get Virginia Tech at home, Wake Forest at home, and then at Notre Dame, but out of conference. So, but could be a
Yeah,
big one for their playoff hopes. So they can't stumble too much.
right.
And then in the season at Stanford, which
Last year,
don't
that
know.
by the end
Yeah,
of season Cali trip that seemed like it was obvious, ended their shot. So you don't want to be have that happen for
yeah,
a second year.
exactly. But
But
if they can get, I mean, especially if obviously if they can get to that Notre Dame game
oh my
unbeaten, and they're in
God, that would
great
be.
position. But
I mean, that'd be
uh,
absolutely
yeah, you
huge.
want to get there with unbeaten or one loss, because if you, like you said, if they stumble and they lose at Florida State, at Louisville, then they're on the tightrope and they got to win out to hope
They would
to
have
get
to
to the
win out.
playoff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
And
um,
they're already a 17.5 point dog for the Notre Dame game. They already have the line out.
Whew,
I
I
see
mean,
on the ESPN.
interesting there, but yeah, it's all there. It's just with the Mustangs, it's about taking that next step. Can they actually get the big power conference title they've been yearning for?
And the main thing, though, is I mean, it all really revolves around Kevin Jennings. I mean, he's been
Hmm.
great. Little turnover happy last year at times, and that kind of hurt.
He's a volatile guy. He's volatile, yeah.
If he can have less turnovers, I mean that'll be the difference in the season there. I mean, obviously, their offense is going to give you what I mean. They have a high-powered offense every year. If they don't turn the ball over, they're electric. The defense is okay. They have a kind of a bend, don't break all the time type of defense. So,
Hmm.
but it really revolves around Jennings being the guy. He's been the guy, but he has to go to that next level. And personally, I think if he does what a third-year guy should, I mean, he could be a sneaky kind of look at long term at the Heisman if he has the type of season that I think he could have. But
Absolutely, yeah. They have a lot of talent around them there.
they do. Uh,
Uh, but yeah, anything else in the Mustangs?
no, I
All
think that
right,
was it.
let's move. The third team that I have in this tier is, I debated making it just two, but I think this team has been good enough the past couple years and close enough that I think
Yeah,
they can
I know
be in
where
the
you're
contender tier.
going.
Louisville.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been a team, and what I had rooting for them is just like, are they finally going to win the close ones? Because that is what has killed them since Jeff
Yeah.
Brom has taken over.
Yeah. I mean, Jeff Brom, I mean, has done an excellent job everywhere he's gone. I mean, he
Hmm.
turned around Purdue before he left. I mean, he had Purdue
Hmm.
winning games again. We know how bad they are again since he's left and before he. And then he's came home and Louisville's never been bad, but he took them to DC. They've fallen off a little bit, and he brought them right back. Probably
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, you're right. It's about taking that next step. Actually winning the conference, not coming in close against big time teams, actually
Hmm.
beating them. They've had their struggles with SMU at times.
Well, and
They
it's weird because they'll get they beat Miami last year. They'll get
yeah,
those wins against bigger teams, and then they'll fall on their face against Cal or
yeah, a
a
team.
Clemson game they probably should have beaten last year.
Yeah,
I mean, look at last year's losses. Virginia at home by 3,
yeah,
Cal at home by 3 in overtime,
that's a
Clemson
bad.
at home by 1, and SMU they got blown out. I think kind of
But yeah,
get maybe.
really, oh man, yeah, but yeah, that Clemson loss was tough,
Hmm.
especially because Clemson just wasn't good last year.
No.
But they have an interesting start to the season. Big, huge game Sunday night, Labor Day weekend.
Ole
Going
Miss
Ole
in
Miss
Nashville,
in
which
Nashville. Nice
a,
spot for the game.
and that's
Um,
that's a close Louisville can get a lot of fans in there because
that's not
that's
it's
two
not
and a
a bad
half,
look for them.
3 hours
Yeah.
from Louisville. It's not a far drive. It's straight down 65.
Much better than going to like Atlanta for them, or something like that.
Exactly, yeah, with Ole Miss, and interesting note too. That's the only game as of right now on their schedule that Louisville is the underdog in. So, uh, if they can pull the upset there,
Uh, that I
they
mean
are
that
they are
really
set
propelled
up.
their,
Yeah.
that really
Hmm.
propelled their season. To people be like, whoa,
Yeah, because
I,
they have some tricky road games later. At NC State, at Georgia Tech, but we just don't know. Is Georgia Tech
Georgia
going to
Tech,
take a step down? What's NC
yeah,
State going to do? But they avoid Clemson.
yeah.
They avoid.
They get SMU at home.
Yeah, they get SMU at home. They
No,
avoid Miami.
yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean,
they get Florida State at home if that's a good team. They get Pitt at home.
yeah,
They've owned Kentucky the past couple years,
yeah.
so going to Lexington's
Really, yeah,
not.
that one's really turned around recently. But
Yeah,
wow,
that's it.
Kentucky
And
was
they, yeah, and new quarterback breaking a new quarterback yet again. There was Lincoln
Lincoln
Kineholds comes
kind
in
of
from
transfer from Ohio
Ohio
State,
State.
who
Yeah,
really only played in the Cotton Bowl against Mizzou. That's really his
yeah.
only time to play. Supposedly a super athletic dude from.
I was about to say gives them a little bit of a run threat at the QB position, which is interesting because
They
if
definitely
he's healthy and they add that dynamic to their offense, they might have the best running back duo in the country already.
do. Both Browns are legit. Isaac,
Yeah, with Isaac Brown and then Kenjon Brown or Kejon Brown.
yeah, Isaac.
Uh,
I mean, that was
he's
usually to keep him because I thought, man, he's probably
yeah,
getting put in the portal.
yeah,
Someone might have more money, but now he stayed home. But I feel
yeah,
good about the quarterback. I mean, obviously, he's good enough that Ohio State had him, But obviously, it's hard to start Ohio State. And I think that was more just the people at Ohio State more than him. But they felt good enough to actually bring him in. So, and if there's a quarterback whisper in the ACC, it's definitely Jeff Brom. Jeff Brom makes average guys into stars. I mean, look at the
yeah.
Saints quarterback. I mean, no one, everybody thought his career was over with, and now that man's NFL
Hmm.
starting quarterback.
But yeah, this is a solid front seven on defense, and like we said, when you have that kind of running back duo, and if you can add a running quarterback to it, and you can get enough production out of your receivers in the passing game. Uh,
Absolutely.
look at this stat. Last 2 years they've gone 9-4. Of those 8 losses, 7 of them have been by a touchdown or less.
Mm,
With only
that's
that SMU
hard.
game we mentioned, the only blowout.
Yeah.
So just
Right.
torturing Louisville fans up there and a rabid fan base.
Great
Love
fan.
their team. They will show out and.
Oh,
Like I said, September they begin obviously with that big one, Ole Miss, neutral site,
yeah.
a big showcase. But that the season really begins September 19th at home, and I don't even know what their stadium's called these days. Let's see.
Yeah, of course it's Papa John's for the longest. But,
It was, and it's usually somewhere around here. It's L&N Federal Credit Union Stadium. Okay, well, just
nice.
getting that money. But yeah, it's set up. Yeah, they definitely made my contender tier because they've been so close, and just a couple good breaks for them.
Like
And yeah,
right
Louisville could be playing.
there,
Yeah,
right there. Just have to
like I
get
said,
over
hey,
the
they beat Miami last year, picked off Carson back 4 times. So
man.
uh,
And we got bad Carson that day. Yeah, that was
we
the thing.
did. Yeah, Miami got back Carson that day, and Louisville took
Absolutely.
advantage. But then,
That was on Friday night.
like I said, yeah, tough losses later on, and they're just
Yeah.
trying to get back to 24, Brahms' first season where they did make the title game.
That's
But
one.
yeah, go ahead.
No, what I was gonna say is, and they only have well, they have a couple, I guess. They would because Louisville on Friday night the last couple of years have been dangerous for everybody. But they
That's
only have
for,
two. They have two Friday night games this year. Home against Florida State.
yeah,
Which who knows? Florida State is one of the teams you just don't know what they're gonna look like.
yeah.
You
Who
just have
knows?
no idea. And then they have the Friday against Villanova, which
Yeah, that's yeah,
Louisville, and I'm sure Jeff Brown will have them. But when you're in those type of games against Ole Miss, like
hmm
let's say even if they win, they're on top of the world, and you just have to stay. Hey, yeah, huge win, but we got to keep on. You can't. Either way, you win or lose that game, you can't let it hurt the rest of your season. Sometimes you
no, yeah,
put so much into that type of game that either if you win it, then you I don't know. It can either make if you win that game, it either sets you up greatly or you become a little complacent, or B you lose that game, and especially if it's super close and you think about it too much. So either way, even though it's a huge game, you want to make sure you don't overthink it and don't let it determine the rest of your season. I don't think Louisville will be a problem because I think Jeff Brom will have them ready to go either way, but still you want to make sure that you don't overthink that.
yeah, absolutely. Uh, that's it. That's the only 3 teams I have in my contender tier. I felt good about that. The only 3 teams I'm like, okay, for sure, these 3 teams are in the race,
Mhm.
barring a surprise. My wild card tier,
That's
that's the big
a
one.
lot. That's a
That's
lot
it.
of
That's a lot one. Here's all the teams I got in it. I put Clemson, Pitt, Virginia, Virginia Tech, NC State, Georgia Tech, Florida
yep.
State, Duke, and North Carolina snuck in there.
Hmm. I
Um,
had everybody kind of in there beside UNC.
Yeah,
I don't
and I wavered on them. I just don't know what they're going to look like. It. I mean, and Bill Belichick is still Bill Belichick. You never know.
Bill
Like maybe,
Belichick and they got what's the name was the OC
and
now.
yeah, and Bobby Petrino is OC. Got rid of our boy Freddie Kitchens, but
But
you just never know. But we'll go. Let's start with Clemson on this one because last year, like you said, everyone, including us, had Clemson real high. We thought, okay, they're bouncing back. They're getting back to the playoff.
yeah,
They're going to look like Clemson, and then they had their worst season of the Dabo era, I think.
yeah, they
Yeah.
what did they end up
7-6. Yeah, 7-6. Did they get a bowl win? They
Yeah,
lose their bowl
they did.
game.
I
They
think they beat
no, they
them.
lost to Penn State. They lost to Penn State. That's right. Yeah,
And that was the funniest thing
yeah,
because
yeah.
two of the most hyped up teams going into the season and they
hmm
played each other in the most meaningless
I was,
Penn Street game.
I was about to say, yeah. It's like a lot of people predicted maybe a postseason matchup between the two, but not in the
Not that
Pinstripe Bowl.
one. Not
Yeah.
that one. And the main thing that really is disappointing if you're a Clemson fan is you then saw 9 guys go to the league. So obviously, there was a lot of talent there that,
hmm
for whatever reason, did not gel at all last year. Obviously, they had high hopes after going to the playoffs. Since, well, first of all, they probably shouldn't have even been in the ACC championship game, but Miami,
Yeah.
but they able to
Yeah.
win that, beat SMU, and made the playoff. And then people were really high on last season. Yeah, it was bad. But now everybody's questioning Clemson. I mean, rightfully so. Main thing they bring in a quarterback, Chris Vizin. Vizina, I think. It was kind of just been sitting there. He's been there a couple years,
Hmm.
backup, and so
Yeah, and they do have a highly touted true freshman in there too. And offense is where the question, everybody's going to be paying attention to because last year was a disaster.
yeah,
And so the solution was, they changed up and they get Chad Morris coming back in as their offense coordinator. Now he was a guy that kind of modernized and really made their offense something
right.
in the early part of the 2010s, and
Yeah,
that really turned them into the offense that would eventually win 2 national titles. But this isn't 2011, 2012, 2013 anymore. And he really hasn't led a good offense in a good number of years now, since pre-COVID, honestly. And so you got to wonder if this is going to work or if this is some like just grasping at straws thing. Is it Dabo going to a well that he doesn't need to go to? Is Chad Morris the right guy to get something out of Vizina?
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just
A lot of
don't
questions
know.
'cause-
Yeah,
and the interesting thing, though, I mean, obviously we know that there's still talent there, but can they put it
yeah,
together?
always, yeah.
Is Dabo at the? There's a lot of people that think Dabo is at the end of his tenure. Now, I mean, he'll still throw out, "Hey, we've done this," and overall, he's right. Clemson, for the most part, has been consistent. They haven't won the not, they're not national title as because they were, when they had Deshaun. But they're still been good outside of last year. If they haven't had 2 years where they haven't won 10 games since the 2009, and then 2010 was the last time where they had 2 seasons where they didn't win 10 games. So that's on the a possibility of being on the line there, and it's just a matter of we shall see. Of course, it gets no bigger. Big game again this year. Obviously, they lost a ugly game at home last year, and everybody was in high on LSU. But
Hmm.
then we found out that Clemson was no good either. Neither team. The LSU defense was much better than expected, but the offense definitely struggled much more than everybody thought, and everybody. And then Clemson was just bad. So,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah, and then it continued that next week. They were down at halftime the next week to Troy, and then
right,
before they got it going, and then it's kind of a precursor because then they lost their next 2 games to at Georgia Tech, and then a loss to a Syracuse team before their quarterback went down.
before Jelly got down hurt. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Um.
again, but now they go to Baton Rouge.
Hmm. Yeah, like Lane Kiffin's first game.
Kiffin's first game at night in Baton Rouge.
Hmm.
I don't think too many people expect them to win that game. Right now, LSU is a 10.5 point favorite. Wow,
Mm. Yeah. So.
that's big. So that just kind of shows you what people think about Clemson going into the season. Um, but
Hmm.
if they play close, I think that'll tell us a lot about them. If they were to happen to win that game, that may really change the narrative about Clemson. People then jump back on the wagon. You know how people are, and there's nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing bigger than after week one. Some of the stories. Oh, this team is so great. As
Hmm.
we see it so many times that people do some week one, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is the team." When we saw last year, of course, Florida State. Everybody was, "Oh, Florida State's back." Yeah, I
Hmm.
think it does. We saw how their season went. So a lot of talk after week one, but there's so many changes in college football every year now, and that a lot of these teams we just don't know, and all we can really go off is last year,
Hmm.
and that's you can kind of do it, but you really can't because rosters change so much, and there's so many new
Hmm.
quarterbacks, different places, and new coordinators that you really it's hard to go off last year unless you're bringing a lot of people back because you just don't know. And if you go off Clemson last year, then you don't expect them to be good this year. But if you look at the history of Dabo Swinney, you expect them to bounce back in certain sense there. But it's definitely a prove it year, and man, if things were to go as they did last year, it could be very uncomfortable by the end of the year for them.
Yeah, you start. Yeah, if they have another 7-6 type year, you start getting those like, oh, like is it time for Dabo to retire or bow out?
Right. Yeah.
The comparisons to the end of like the Bobby Bowden era in Florida
Yeah.
State, and but yeah,
Yeah.
they are definitely I think my most interesting wild card team in the ACC, just because it's interested to see where they go. With a guy as good as Dabo, can he recover it?
Absolutely.
Let's move to Florida State. Just because the big name,
Yeah.
another disappointing year last year, 5-7.
Mhm.
Of course, started with the big win over us in Alabama and Tallahassee, and it looked like okay, Florida State might have turned this around, and
Because the next week they put up like 80 points. I know it was against nobody, but it was.
yeah. Well, their next two games they put up 77 and 66, and like you said, against one
But
was East
still,
Texas A&M and one was Kent State, but still you're like okay, this offense is
against
humming,
the,
and then
against the teams
yeah,
that you're supposed to do that against, they did that against. Everybody's like, well,
yeah,
obviously, Gus's offense is working. The quarterback was looking good. And then they had that Friday night game against Virginia, which really changed their trajectory of the season. Lost an
yes.
classic game, but man, they fell apart after that.
Yeah, it was the first of four losses, and at the time it was a shocker. And then Virginia ended up winning 11 games. So you're like, oh, okay, well, but yeah, it started losses to Virginia, to Miami. They put up a better fight than everyone thought they would.
Right.
Pitt and Stanford, and it wasn't until Wake Forest game when they got back on track. But they still lost three of the last four games
Yeah.
there too. For like I said, a 5-7 season this year. Starts a little easier. You get New Mexico State at home, but then it goes right to it goes right to the tough one. You get SMU on a Monday night, September 7th. It's in Tallahassee, but that's
Good
it's a tough way to
Tallahassee.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, SMU obviously a big game. Um, and the biggest thing for Florida State is not only is that a big game, but it's the standalone Labor Day night game. So all eyes is going to be on that game. And there's really nothing else going on. So, people are going to have a quick opinion about Florida State, and it's going to be all over the place, depending on how that
Yeah,
game.
exactly. Hold on, give me a second, but What's up, dude? Sorry, I thought I heard my kid throwing a fit, so I just went to see everything was okay. Yeah,
About
who
something.
knows?
I heard him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, who knows? He's got his juice now. He's fine.
Hey,
Yeah. But yeah, let's see. You were talking about Florida State.
hey, yeah. I mean, obviously, they're kind of a team we don't know. They obviously their coach is on the hot seat, probably the hottest
Big time.
seat.
Yeah.
But at the same time, man, I mean, hey, a lot of people wanted to fire him last year, but man, 50 to pay that man would have had to pay him $50 million because obviously they gave him that new contract after the 23 season. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one thing I can't think of his name right now. That agent that represents all the coaches,
Oh, Sexton.
yeah, that man makes people a lot of money. that man,
He
man,
makes people and himself a lot of money. Yeah.
'cause he gets that percentage, but man, he does a hell of a job of getting people rich because obviously he sold, and I don't think that's true. I don't believe it as much. Some people say it's true, but there was people were like, oh, Mike Norvell was 10 seconds away from going to Alabama, and that's why he got that money. I don't believe that story. I think Sexton sold the hell out of that story. I don't think he was ever really thought of something.
Nah, I don't
Um,
think so either. I don't think he was the call. No.
but there's people that swear by it, and I'm like, oh. So either way, it got him a lot of money. Obviously, Florida State would have loved to got rid of him after last year, but that buyout, man, that's a big buyout. And even
Mm-hmm.
after this year, he still has 40 million. Like, man,
Uh, yeah, exactly. That's like you said, Norville's on the hot seat. No more Gus Malzahn. Gus Malzahn retired, and so Tim
yeah,
Harris
he's
comes in.
back, but he's back to
Yeah,
calling the plays. I think.
Norvell
Yeah, I
is
think he
going to take
brought in the
over. Like,
OC, but I think he's back to actually calling the plays, which is I really don't like that for head coaches because there's just so much that you're doing these days. Uh, you
and
know,
yeah, I'd like it in rare cases when it's like the head coach is just such a good play caller that you're like a Lane
like
Kiffin
I
type.
get it with
Like
Sark or Kiffin, it,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but I think most don't need to be doing it. I thought it was interesting. They did bring in Tom Herman as an offensive analyst, and I was like, it's kind of dangerous if you're. I was like, is that my replacement? And
Yeah, right. Yeah.
it's like, ooh. But I mean, obviously, a guy that's been around football, took Houston to heights that at that time were unprecedented. Up and down at Texas, Florida Atlantic, not so hot, but overall, a good offensive mind. So it's interesting what he would bring to that staff, even though he's just an analyst.
Hmm.
The quarterback situation. I mean, obviously they're bringing the Auburn transfer.
Yeah,
Then
Ashton Daniels. Yeah, it's
he's,
a good running quarterback. We know that much.
and I think I think he had. I don't know the quarterback last year. He obviously was a great running. Kind of question with his arm. I think Ashton Daniels is a better passer than I can't think of the dude's name from last year. Oh,
Oh, Tommy Castellanos.
Castellanos, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ashton Daniels is a better passer than he did. He's a
Hmm.
decent runner, but I just don't know if he's how good he really is. Uh,
Yeah, and it's a tough schedule, man. It's a brutal schedule. In fact, we mentioned the SMU game early, and then they get a bye, then they go at Alabama, and so the Tide will have revenge on their mind there.
Absolutely.
Uh, and then you got games at Louisville on a Friday night. You got to go at Miami, and then you get a bye, and then you get Clemson at home.
Who knows?
You got to go at Pitt, and then you get Florida at home too. Not to mention you also get Virginia, Clemson. I think we talked about
Mississippi
there.
State.
Yeah, NC State at Boston College, which I expect, Boston College to be one of the worst teams in the conference, but still, they've had trouble up in Chestnut Hill before.
Yeah.
So
And for their
certainly a tough schedule for them. And it
absolutely
starts off, like we said, it starts off hard. They get New Mexico State. That's the one they should win. And then, boom, here's SMU in a huge conference game, second week of the season.
yeah. And all eyes will be on that game because it's the only thing Monday night. So man,
Yeah.
ooh, that's a big thing. And if they were to get slaughtered that game, you already know. Get them out
Hmm.
of here! Get them
Oh,
out of
yeah. Yeah, if it's a close, tough loss, then like okay, maybe we see it. If it's a blowout,
here,
then that seat's going to be on fire.
man.
Especially with a bye before the Alabama game, maybe that
Oh,
might be the time if they pull the trigger early. But
but that's tough because it's nothing worse than have to lose. It's bad enough anytime you lose the game and then you have a bye after that, so the fans have an extra week to think about that loss. But
hmm
even more so if you get blown out and you're on the hot seat and no one likes you.
hmm
Oh, it
yeah,
can be very lonely. Tallahassee be a very lonely place for him if
hmm
things go terrible in that week 2 against SMU. Now, if he pulls that game off and he's going 2-0 into Tuscaloosa, they're going to be a little excitement going into that game.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but we shall
Uh,
see.
Yeah, let's move on to another big name team that's struggled recently, and they brought in a big time coach, Virginia Tech. First year, James Franklin come in. Their excitement.
I like it.
I guess the storyline, the question around them is, can he bring his trademark consistency to Virginia Tech? Because I'm sure right now, that fan base would love,
I love 9-3.
consistent, yeah, 9-3, 10-2 seasons.
Oh, absolutely.
Eventually it would get to the point where you'd want to win those, get over that hump. But right now, this is a team that I honestly can't. I mean, their last 5 seasons: 6-7, 3-8, 7-6,
Yeah.
6-7, 3-9 last year. So,
So, I mean, they brought it. I thought what the coach 2 times ago. Um, he had been in Memphis and he came. He started off well and then just fell off at the end there. He didn't recruit well. Um,
Fuentes, yeah.
uh, yeah, Justin Fuentes. And then you thought Brent Pryor was going to be the guy because he has the ties and came
Mm.
from Penn State and been a good D coordinator, but yeah, it just didn't work for whatever reason. Now that's interesting enough though that he obviously loves the program because he came back to be the DC. And you don't see that
Let's say,
happen ever.
fired, as a head coach, and then once James Franklin comes on, of course, he was defense coordinator under James Franklin at Penn State for 8 years. So,
Right.
very familiar and obviously knows the school, and so James Franklin did, I guess, a good sales job and
Yeah.
convinced him to come back as
Yeah,
DC. So,
that's good. And that takes a lot of I don't know humility.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly. You really got to swallow your pride to come back to the place that fired you
I just
the
told
very
you
next
his
season. Yeah.
relationship with James Franklin more than anything, and obviously
Hmm.
Franklin's a hell of a seller. But I mean, if you look at it, James Franklin's biggest sin is he couldn't beat Ohio State and Michigan.
Yeah. And a lot of coaches can't. Yeah.
But overall, and maybe, and then of course the thing unraveled last year after the Oregon game. Um, but overall, man, in model of consistency, I mean, he won the Vanderbilt. Uh,
Hmm.
he came after the toughest period at Penn State, and he turned him into a consistent winner. Um,
Yeah,
you know,
made the national title game a couple seasons ago,
and
or
went
semifinal.
to the semifinal.
Yeah.
Probably should have had opportunities to beat Notre Dame. Probably should have. It just,
Hmm.
you know, Drew Howard things at the end of that game. My goodness.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but, if he's 9-3, 10-2 in the ACC, and there's not consistently a Michigan or Ohio State, that man's going to be a champion. I have no doubt. Honestly, I'd be
Hmm.
shocked in the next 2 or 3 years if that man is not in the ACC championship game or have won the conference. Just
Yeah,
because
I mean, I think it's a great hire. Yeah, and like it's what they need right now. They need that
great
consistency.
hire, great hire,
Yeah.
fantastic hire. He brings everything that you would want from a coach. I would say, he didn't sit out at all. He was ready to come right back into coaching. Um, so he's still hungry, and obviously he wants to fix some things. But again, you know, it's easy to say, oh, he didn't win the big games, but who has beaten Ohio State consistently or at all for the majority of the last decade? Hardly anybody. It's hard to beat Ohio State. With Harbaugh, it was hard to beat Michigan. you know, so I mean that was the biggest problem. So
Yeah, it is a brutal schedule for them this first year, particularly toward the end of the season. It opens up okay. VMI, ODU at home, at Maryland, at Boston College, Pitt. That's not a bad first 5-6 games there. After that's when it gets tricky. You go at Cal, Georgia Tech, at Clemson, at SMU, Stanford, at Miami, and then Virginia in your rivalry game at the end of the season. So
whew, yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
that
yeah,
road
Gibbo
schedule is
uh,
brutal. Yeah.
after getting their first. I mean, yeah, that back half. My God, they got
Yeah. No,
no.
no reprieve. Yeah, even that Stanford game at home. Stanford's coming off a bye, so you're not even getting that. Like, okay, well, Stanford's coming across the country. It's like, no, Stanford's had a week to figure that out and relax. Yeah,
So that'd
and
be
and
fun.
then like we said, it's sandwiched in between games at SMU and at Miami. So yeah, brutal back half of the schedule
They got no
for the
help
Hokies. But
see at
yeah, but I
all.
think this season less about straight results and more just about results in terms of the work and
Building for the
adopting to
future.
the James Franklin culture. Yeah.
Right. And how do things look? I mean, does it look
Hmm.
better? Um, are they still getting blown out? Um,
Hmm.
you know, 'cause at times, man, there's some games where they're just getting housed, and you're like, my goodness.
Hmm.
Last year when I knew it was over for them. Not that Vandy wasn't a good team last year, but they housed Spot Tech,
Hmm.
and I was like, my goodness, this is bad.
Yeah. But let's move on. Let's move to their cross-state rival, the Cavs of Virginia, a surprise team last year. Won 11 games, finished ranked for the first time in over 20 years.
Would
Continue,
have made
made
the
that.
playoff if they had won the damn game.
Yeah, it would have been the playoff if they beat Duke in the ACC title game, but it wasn't meant to be. But uh, a couple changes this year, mainly quarterback they bring in Bo Prabula and then also Eli Holstein. So two starting caliber quarterbacks they have to choose from there
Yeah,
to replace Chandler Morris.
and I don't
Um,
know what we know. I don't know if we know what Bo Trabula really is.
hmm.
Obviously, he got the hype because he's left Penn State um, 2 years ago while they were in the playoffs. So everybody, oh my God, it was a big uproar with that. Went to Mizzou last year, was okay. He got hurt there for a little bit. And I thought he was okay.
Hmm.
So we'll see if he can really be that guy. Who did they have? They had who was the quarterback last year that been everywhere. Then he came to Virginia.
Chandler Morris.
Morris, yeah, he had been all over the place.
Yeah,
So that was
North
big.
Texas, Oklahoma, TCU. Yeah.
He really had a
Oh
hell
yeah.
of
So
a year.
yeah, good running backs here, good offensive line, veteran offensive line, good defense line. So good in the middle. If you're the Cavs, so that bodes well as always. Tricky schedule, I'll say. open with NC State, a game that originally was going to be in Brazil, and it's moved back to the States. It's in Charlottesville. They play on the 19th September. They play West Virginia in Charlotte. Two teams that don't play a lot that you would think would. Let's see. I think it's their first time meeting since 1985 in the regular season.
And the Duke Mayo.
Then you got road games at Florida State, at SMU, and then at Virginia Tech to end the season. You do avoid Clemson and Miami on your regular season schedule, so that's a plus for them. So I do think they could be, in contention by the end of the year for the ACC crown, but just with the new quarterback situation, that's why I slid them into my wild card.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because honestly,
not knowing how real last year's results were.
Because honestly, a lot of people had their coach Tony Elliott on the hot seat last year. A lot of people thought that was going to be it last year, and they really turned it on. And he saved himself gave himself at least another year, because I think a lot of people thought he was out if they had a bad year last year. I mean, together for him, but. Yeah, definitely a wild card, because last year was a shocker. Yeah, this year we'll find out how real that was. Because we've seen a couple ACC teams put up one good year, and then the next year they're back to,
Yeah.
So we shall see.
Let's just see. Let's move on to a team, another long-standing coach there, Pat Narduzzi and the Pitt Panthers. Gone, just kind of just all over the place in the past few years, and ACC champs in 21, and then, to 23 when they went 3-9, and then 24 they started out 7-0 and then lost their last 6 games. And last year kind of all over the place, lost to a kind of a bad West Virginia team in the backyard brawl early on, lost to Louisville, but then got some wins, and then if you look at the teams they lost to last year, outside of that West Virginia team, they lost to Louisville, Notre Dame, and Miami. Not really nothing to be ashamed about there with those losses.
No.
So, of course, was it Mason Heinzkel?
Yeah.
Heinzkel, who beat out Eli Holstein, he's back. Of course, they do lose the dude running back, Reed, who was just an absolute beast. What was it? Desmond. I'm trying to think his first name. So they do that. Schedule has a couple tricky spots. You got to go at Virginia Tech on a Friday night. Got to go at Miami, at Louisville. No Clemson, no Miami, no SMU on this. Or excuse me, no SMU, no Clemson on the schedule.
Miami, boy, oof, that's tough.
Yeah, at Miami. Yeah, at Miami. That's right in the middle of the season too. So, what Narduzzi teams are going to be tough. They're going to play solid defense. They're going to try to ugly up games. That's what they want to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not really sure what to expect, but probably somewhere around 8-9 wins. It's kind of what Pitt does, unless they just fall off. Yeah.
7-9 wins is kind of their normal thing.
Yeah, but they're a team that has the potential to be able to pull an upset. Just not sure, if it's, the real deal.
Right.
Let's see what else we're in this wild card. We got NC State, the Wolfpack, always a wild card. Another long tenured coach, Dave Doran there. Of course, they lost.
Is he the second longest tenured coach in the ACC? Him or Dabo, right?
I believe he's right behind Dabo. Yeah,
he's been there a while.
Dabo, him, and then Narduzzi.
Yeah.
But of course, they lost Hollywood Smothers, great running back. Lost the receiver that's in Tuscaloosa now. Who the hell? What is his name? It's now in Alabama. Rogers, is that it? Yeah. Noah Rogers. But Bronson, still got C.J. Bailey at quarterback. Very talented guy there. Pretty solid schedule for them. They get Louisville. Yeah, they get Louisville at home. No SMU, no Clemson, no Miami on that schedule. So that's pretty big. Road games at Florida State. They got to go cross country to Stanford, but that's after a bye, so that's pretty good. We mentioned they start the season at Virginia. They go at Vanderbilt out of conference too, but it's definitely, NC State's always kind of a team that just lingers around, and they can maybe pull an upset, and every now and again might sneak into that ACC title picture.
Absolutely. And there,
So we'll see.
it's been a
Yeah.
couple of years where they were right there, but they always had a quarterback injury or something. And they're a
Hmm.
team, but they're a team that has never won. I don't think they've ever had a 10-game win season. I think 9 is the most they've ever had in the history of NC State football. And
That's crazy. Yeah.
they've had some decent things, of course. The Philip Rivers years were decent.
Hmm.
We've seen Dave Dorn have some good years. But yeah, obviously CJ Bailey, if he can cut down on some of his turnovers, 'cause he's an up and down guy as well. But when he's on,
Yeah.
he's really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, a very friendly schedule there. The starting there against Virginia. Who know? That's kind of we'll learn about. It's early,
Yeah.
so
Uh,
obviously you won't learn everything, but we'll learn some about both teams because I think there's questions about both teams. You either wondering are they a contender or are they not a contender? So that's an interesting way to start the schedule.
mhm.
Um, and then in the third week, also interesting, Vanderbilt because that's a team. Who knows what they're going to look like for past the Diego Pavia thing? Was it a Pavia thing? Are they gone around the corner? Have they turned the corner into a consistent football program? So that'd be an interesting game as well. The 19th of September. I wonder.
No, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Either way, App State's a tricky game just because at times obviously they haven't been as good, but you never know. Um,
Hmm.
but man, that October 3rd, NC State Louisville, that's huge at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
That could
Huge for both teams. Yeah. That could be a big turning point in the Wolfpack season. That could be another bad loss on the Louisville side.
But outside of that, there's some trickiness to the schedule, but
They catch a lot of breaks. I'll
yeah,
say
as
that.
friendly as you can be for college football. And
Hmm.
the ACC is still weird because teams still don't play the same. There's some teams that play 8 games, some that play 9 conference games this year.
Their transition to that 9, and even when they do, everyone it's still not going to be everyone because they have a
Yeah,
17 teams, so it's going to be like
there's gonna be some,
everyone but one. I think it's one team every year is going to play 8. It's just so weird.
and then they obviously, depending on your 9. Some people's
Yeah,
9 is not gonna be the same as other people's 9 as we know.
yeah,
That just with how big conferences are, that's gonna happen everywhere. But obviously, this
yeah,
is
yeah. We've talked about that
their
before
time
now,
to
but yeah,
definitely shine. But
it's however your schedule rotation turns out plays such a big part now.
if they could pull that Louisville game on the third, that would be absolutely huge. Because after that, they play a Wake Forest team that overachieved last year, but who knows if they can do that anything near that again. Stanford on the road, but we don't know what Stanford will be. Cal comes to town. You would think you win that one, but again, we don't know what Cal will be with the new coach. You have a Duke coming to town. NC, Syracuse, Florida State, and North Carolina at the end of the season. So you would, yeah, if there's a time for NC State to turn that curve and go from a good to a great season, this is the year. So we shall see. I think they
Yeah,
have the talent to do it with CJ Bailey, but they did lose some talent there. Rogers to us, Hollywood to Texas, some big losses there. But Dave Doran wins games. He's consistently been a good coach. But man, yeah, kind of like Louisville. Can they turn that curve and go from a good season to a great season? So we shall see.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Moving on, let's go to Georgia Tech. Last season, last couple years, a contender in the ACC. Of course, they lose Haynes King, quarterback, Jamal Haynes at running back. So they do get another Haynes. This time, Justice Haynes comes in.
That's
Uh,
good because he was having
he
did he get hurt last year again at Michigan because he
he
started.
yeah he had over, let's see, over 800 yards in 7 games for Michigan last year. So he was really rolling in that offense, and he goes to another running back friendly offense.
I
I
think
mean,
he'll
and the
thrive.
coach,
I would think he
yeah,
would thrive in that Brent Key's offense. Biggest
yeah, and
thing
they.
with, I'm sorry, right?
No, I was gonna say, yeah, probably what you're about to say too, but biggest thing they bring in Alberto Mendoza, of
Yeah.
course, Fernando's little brother. They bring him in to replace Haynes King at quarterback, and that's yeah. How does the offense run under him? No longer you got your just
So,
battering ram. They just ran the hell out of poor Haynes King.
and honestly, does
Every
anybody know
every
anything about Alberto? I mean, other than he's Mendoza's brother?
we don't. He's looked good in garbage time when he's coming in. He's like really good. Something like 18 of 23 for
Right.
some 100 yards and 5 touchdowns or something crazy like that. I think. But that obviously that's like I said that's all in garbage time duty. So we expect a little bit of step down from Georgia Tech this year over the last couple of years. 9 wins last year, but Brent Key's doing things well there.
He
He
does have
has
to
some.
replace both coordinators, though. That's the tough. New offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator.
That's true. Yeah. They have co-offensive coordinators over George Godsey and then Chris Winkie. Familiar name. If you're an old head like us, Jason Seymour comes in at defensive coordinator. So yeah,
That Jason Sehorn, huh? Huh. Interesting.
yeah,
Has
not
he?
Seahorn, not Seahorn, Seymour. Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, obviously they're a team. And last year, what was the loss last year that we were baffled by? Because
let's see
there was I forget what the
that.
loss.
I think it would have been that at NC State loss because NC State put up 48 on them, and
Yes.
it was just kind of a weird one. That was they were unbeaten going into that one too. And they lost 4 of their last 5 games, if you include the bowl game.
Yeah.
Yeah, they lost at NC State, rebounded with a close win at Boston College, but then lost to Pitt and then Georgia to win the regular season
Pitt
before
game was
losing the
weird
Pop
too.
Tarts Bowl to BYU. Yeah,
The Pitt and the thing with and then the last two. Well, of course, 2 years ago they had the game, the instant classic against Georgia.
yeah,
That
the
they
eight overtime game. Yeah, that they should have
last
won.
year
Yeah,
they came in weak. They came in a little down, but they still gave Georgia hell.
yeah,
So
they made that game. They made that game a dogfight. No pun intended. But yeah,
the last 3 years they've given Georgia hell. But Georgia keeps winning that type of game. Man, I like Brent Key a lot. It seems like a great coach. Obviously, players like to play for him. But yeah, I mean, it's hard. I mean, obviously, you new coordinators. Um,
new coordinators, new quarterback, new running back. Even though if he stays healthy, it should be a great addition. Solid line play as they usually get under him. Schedule is a little bit all over the place. It starts with Colorado and Tennessee at home, both home games. For Georgia Tech, of course, they beat Colorado in Boulder last year. They do
yeah,
go at. They got to go to West Coast at Stanford at the end of September, but they play Mercer the week before, so again shouldn't be
should be okay.
taxing. But other than that, yeah, no SMU on their schedule, no Miami on their schedule. They do get Louisville at home, and then the next week they got to go at Clemson. So that's kind of tricky spot. They got to go at Virginia Tech and Pitt as well, and then at Georgia. So tough road schedule. Like you said, you kind of expect a little step down, but they could also build up some momentum. And especially if they get a win over Tennessee in week 2, and
If they could pull that Tennessee game, boy, that would be big
yeah, I
because
mean it's at home too. It's not neutral site, or it's not even in the Mercedes. It's at home. It's at Bobby Dodd. So
what if things are going right, it's a decent stadium. It's just that
yeah,
they're kind of they're one of the programs that if you're winning, they're there. If you're not so hot, mm, they're not.
yeah, Yeah, Georgia Tech has lost 12 straight to SEC opponents. The last time they beat Georgia was in 16.
And it was
So
Kirby.
they're that. Yeah, there. It was Kirby's first year.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, first or second year even. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
So
that's always a fun team. Like Brent Key, a real likable guy. Interested to see what they look like this year. Let's move on to last year's champ, the Duke Blue Devils. Surprise ACC champ, 9-5. Manny Diaz getting it done. And then, of course, you mentioned it earlier, but the big offseason drama for them was losing quarterback Darian Mensah to Miami.
yeah.
They replaced him with Walker Eget. Don't know a damn thing about that kid.
From
Um,
San Jose State, right?
I believe so, yeah. Comes over there, yeah. San Jose State.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not even gonna pretend that I can tell you anything about him other than that's obviously you feel like that they kind of found somebody, but obviously it's a step down from Darian
yeah,
Mensa.
and then schedule doesn't do them a lot of favors this year. They play Mensah's old team, Tulane, to start the year at home. A road game at Illinois, which they lost to Illinois at home last year, got smashed by them. Lost to Tulane on the road last year, too, so 2 revenge games to start off the year.
Yeah.
Later in the season, you got games on the road against Georgia Tech, Virginia, NC State, at Miami, at Wake Forest to end the year. You also get Clemson at home. No SMU, do avoid that at least. But yeah, tough schedule. But Manny Diaz is a good coach, and he kind of always outperforms expectations here at Duke and when he's at smaller schools.
But I would have to say, you had 5 losses last year with Darian Mensa.
Mm-hmm.
And really, I mean, they had no business being the ACC title game.
But they got there.
Out there. That's I mean, it matters, and they won the conference, and of course, just because they were so bad, they couldn't get into the playoff. Just
Yeah.
because no one's going to allow it to happen.
Yeah, 3 non-conference losses last year. We mentioned Illinois, Tulane, and then lost at Connecticut in the middle of the season, too.
Which was a bad, yeah.
Yeah, not a good one.
And you just don't know. You have to think that they'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I would think they're 6-6, maybe 7-5 max. I just don't see that. 'Cause losing them into that was tough. Um, you know, I just schedule does them no favors. Maybe 7-5, kind of where I look at it. But who knows? Maybe you know, Tulane with the new coach. Maybe they're able to pull that win.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, blown out at Illinois last year. Illinois probably not going to be as good as they were last year. Maybe they went. They were to pull that. We're looking at a different idea about Duke, but it's, we shall see. I can't say I know a lot about the quarterback. They obviously lost a wide receiver as well, so replacing a lot of big parts. But they might be looking for basketball season a lot sooner than later.
Yeah.
Durham.
Yeah. But let's move to their arch nemesis, the North Carolina Tar Heels, the last team I have in this wild card tier. Just for the plain simple fact that who knows? Who knows what happens? I don't think they could surprise us and make a run to the ACC title contention. They have a pretty rough schedule too, but bringing in Bobby Petrino, coordinator, new quarterback, and Billy Edwards.
He was at Wisconsin last year, wasn't he? And he got hurt.
Maryland? No, he was. Yeah, I think Wisconsin last year. Maryland the year before. Yeah,
Wisconsin got hurt.
yeah.
Did he get hurt against us?
He might have. I don't know. We seem to injure Wisconsin quarterbacks.
They've had that's a team we'll talk about later, but they've had some bad luck at quarterback with the injuries that they've sustained in the
Yeah.
last couple of seasons. But
yeah, UNC. Yeah, I just don't really know what to expect. So that's why they're a wild card.
last year, I mean, obviously people were super excited when then they go up like 7-0 against against TCU to start the season. But oh, look at
Yeah,
that!
the first drive looked really good. I think they had like a ball control drive and kind of marched steadily down the field and scored. And it was like, all right. And then TCU said, all right, we're
Not
done playing.
this
Yeah.
is not because a couple years ago the TCU had lost that game to Colorado, and then they this would have been kind of that kind of loss,
Hmm.
kind of a weird situation with Bill Belichick.
Hmm.
And then after that, they kind of had a long season. The offense was absolutely horrendous last year. So
Yeah, it's not going to be hard to improve on it because they were so bad last year.
they were a horrible offense. I've been, his son Steve Belichick actually they had a decent defense, but
Hmm.
you hold so long when the offense is that bad. Um, the defense was a strong suit of the team last year. Can't get worse than that on the offensive end. So we shall. Yeah, we just don't know. Obviously, Petrino. He was at A&M last. Oh, he was Arkansas last year.
Hmm.
That whole season was just a dumpster fire. Obviously, they starting over in Fayetteville, but now he gets an opportunity. Um, and I think it might be good for them because I don't think anybody really has expectations. So maybe he's a
Yeah,
good. Sure.
that's usually with a coach like Belichick. That's the thing he takes advantage of is nobody believes in us type stories. But it's a rough schedule, man. You got at Clemson, you got to play. You host Notre Dame. They do get a bye in between those. On the road games at Pitt, at Duke. Miami comes to town. Louisville comes to town. So you're getting all the heavy hitters except SMU. Um, so yeah,
Uh,
tough schedule. But if they can improve on that, even if they even if they go 4-8 again, as long as they look improved and they're more competitive, and I think Tar Heel fans will be happy. But of
yeah.
course, they'll be looking to add on that number, and they start their season against TCU again, but this time in Dublin. So we'll
It's
see
the
how
game,
that goes. Yeah,
and it's kind of the big game of that
yeah. Uh,
this
as far
weekend.
as my basement tier goes, I have Wake, Cal, Stanford, Boston College, and Syracuse. Any particular, any one of those teams you want to point out something specific on, or?
Um, you know, I like where Stanford is going. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, bringing in Andrew Luck to run it. I mean, obviously, he knows what a good Stanford
Mm-hmm.
program can be. We know Stanford at one point was a dominant team, physical
Mm-hmm.
team. They had a run there. It's gotten bad recently. He brought in a coach, this Stanford guy himself. He played quarterback there.
A guy that actually was his backup there. Yeah.
So I mean, they know the tradition of Stanford of where they can get it to. I think they have the right people there. It's just a matter of can they recreate what they had. It's going to be hard, just with NIL and everything. And who knows? I mean, obviously, this is he went to the NFL for the Commanders for a couple years, coming back as the coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting the where they're headed. Just kind of they brought Stanford guys who won, understand the program, love the program, so they got the right people there. I think David Warren, the transfer from Michigan, likely to be their quarterback. It's just a matter of does that matter at all?
Yeah.
But I think
No, yeah,
it's
they begin the season with Hawaii again. They this time they get them in Palo Alto.
much.
Yeah, lost to them last year. Then it gets real. Miami comes to town the very next week on a Friday. Um, they got trips to Notre Dame, to Louisville, to Virginia Tech. They play at Cal this year in that rivalry game. They get SMU at home to end the season. So again, a lot of the heavy hitters come on their schedule. But kind of same thing as North Carolina. Almost. If you're a Stanford fan, you want to see improvement, a little more competitiveness, and see what the vision is. Last year was kind of like a weird holding pattern when with who was the coach? Was it Frank Wright?
Yeah,
Um,
right.
yeah,
He was a 1 year guy. He was just kind of
yeah,
there,
an interim guy, basically just yeah.
weird. So we shall
Um,
see. I think they have the right people in place. It's a matter, does that matter? Can they recreate what they
Yeah,
had when they were at Stanford?
yeah.
And it just the last 5 years just have not been pretty. The end of the David Shaw years were bad.
Hmm.
Pittsburgh got it. And there's just not an interest in football anymore at Stanford. And they bring that interest back, it'll be tough. But it's,
Yeah, and as far as their crosstown rivals go, Cal, or not crosstown, but you know what I mean, cross bay, whatever. They do have maybe one of the better young quarterbacks in the country, and Jaron Kiwi
yeah,
Sagapolute, sorry,
that
Tele
name is crazy.
Sagapotele,
Yeah.
JKS, as he goes by. Sorry for butchering that. Great.
It's hard to spell that. Like I wrote it down on my
Yeah,
notes. I had to check to make sure I spelled the last name right. I was like, "What?"
yeah, Sagapolotele. It might be
Yeah,
right. If it's, I was about to say, if I don't know if that's a like a Samoan type name, then it's usually pretty phonetic.
yeah.
As a but anyway, exciting quarterback, young guy. This is the program that Fernando Mendoza came from too. So Cal's been putting out some good quarterbacks again lately.
They
Um,
have
they
new
got
coach
another
there.
good one, a lefty too. That always throws people off. But yeah, new
First
coach
year
Tosh
coach,
Lapoy coming in. Um,
obviously a defensive minded guy.
yeah,
Did great things at Oregon. I mean, he helped with Dan Lang transform what Oregon was. I mean, before that, we always thought they were soft and could score, but they're pretty boys. Now, man, Oregon will knock your head off. So
yeah,
he changed the
yeah.
culture, there, and now he gets his opportunity.
Hmm.
Um, and it's a tough place to win at. It's
It is. It is.
a tough place. They're just because obviously there's some interest there. I mean, we saw a game there a couple of years ago against Miami. The game they definitely should have won. Uh,
Hmm.
uh, so they have some interest, probably more than I would have thought. They have a very clever fan base. If you follow that at all, to Cal,
Yeah.
it's pretty awesome.
Um,
But
but
yeah,
yeah,
place to win. I don't think we've had any consistency really since Aaron Rodgers. But
no, and it's you mentioned that loss a couple years ago to Miami. They had the bowl game loss last year to Hawaii, where they were up. I think they were up like 3 scores. Ended up losing that game. Um,
they had the big win at the end of the regular season where they beat SMU. I mean, that was
yeah,
you.
that was
Close
yeah
out.
kind of and also beat Louisville. So they had those the tough wins, and
So
they can surprise a team. And Tosh Poy, like you said, a tough defensive minded guy coming in. We'll see how he resets the culture there. Their schedule kind of favorable. They know Miami on the schedule, but they do have to go at SMU. But Clemson does come across the country to them on a Friday night, so that's always
who knows?
favorable there. But yeah, as far as those other basement teams, nothing really stands out to me. Is Steve Angeli, is him being healthy going to make that much of a difference? A team that finished 3-9 last year,
But
was he that important?
they
Yeah,
fell out super hard. I mean,
yeah,
they went from beating Clemson. He got hurt at the end of that game to being absolute trash.
yeah. Did not win the rest of the year after that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Uh, I mean, I like Fran Brown. He's a funny dude. He has that whole thing. He doesn't shower until they win the game. He might get
hmm
pretty. It might stink by the end of
yeah.
the season. Just yeah,
It
if
might.
he
They
sticks.
know Miami, but they do play Louisville, SMU, and Clemson. However, all of them come to the Dome, the Carrier Dome, or whatever they call it now. But
Yeah, it'll always be
uh,
the Carry Dome. I don't care what they call it. It's
yeah,
the Carry
right. It's the Carrier Dome, and Notre Dame comes to Carrier Dome to end the season. So
for us.
that's man, they're getting a
Like,
good if you
fans
got season tickets up there this year.
might have to think season tickets probably not
Yeah,
the most expensive thing.
yeah. But yeah, that's as far as ACC. That's what I got. We'll do our predictions in our prediction episode. But anything else you wanted to touch on before we go here?
Plus, I will say this: Boston College will be terrible because not only is Bill O'Brien still their coach, he's made himself the OC as well.
Oh
Yikes!
no. Oh no. I'm so sorry, Boston College fans.
Oh, but
Man. Ooh, and
yeah,
Ted Rufus is defensive coordinator.
Ed
Oh
Roof.
man. Ugh.
Yeah, I was like, what are we doing? That's gonna
Yeah.
be a
That,
long,
man,
long season on Chestnut Hill.
could be a rough year. And then, yeah, listen to this road schedule too. It begins with at Cincinnati to begin the year.
Oh,
And this is just the road games this year. SMU, Georgia Tech, Duke, Notre Dame, Miami. Yeah, that's. Oof.
I don't know
If
where you name it honestly on this
I
schedule.
would say if they win one road game, I will consider that impressive.
Well, you look at the schedule. What games did they win? Maine, maybe.
Maine is up there. You could maybe make an argument they could get Rutgers in week 2 there on a Friday night.
But I don't know. I
But
don't.
yeah, other than that, there's no gimmies on that schedule.
There's
Not a
nothing
single
that
one.
says
Yeah.
there's nothing that says Boston College wins, and
Yeah.
I just don't think it's gonna.
Yeah. So
And the bad thing is that all around Boston College sports have fallen off completely. But there was a time when Boston College had a good basketball program, and then
mm-hmm.
they had a great with Matt Ryan, and before that even they had a great, decent football program. But both have just
Yeah,
gone trash.
it dropped off. I guess it's hockey and nothing else there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
don't know how much people care because it's the East Coast, Boston. You know, this obviously everybody's Pats, Red Sox, Celtics. So where does Boston College fall into that line? But you
yeah.
know,
But as far as ACC, that's all I got. Those
yeah,
are your tiers. Recap those tiers again for you. Our contenders: Miami, SMU, Louisville. Our wild cards: we got Clemson, Pitt, Virginia, Virginia Tech, North Carolina State, Georgia Tech, Florida State, Duke, and North Carolina. And then our basement teams: Wake, Cal, Stanford, Boston College, and
yeah.
Syracuse.
I guess you really
Uh,
didn't say anything about Wake. My biggest thing is they went nine. They had an amazing year last year.
mm-hmm.
You know, Jay Diebert. But the thing that they did last year is their offense was so terrible. They when they won
Mm-hmm.
games, it was strict on the defense. There was games where they didn't even score but less than 20 points, but yet they won like three of those games.
Yeah.
Um, they bring in Gio Lopez, who struggled, who was terrible in North Carolina last year. So I don't know if that helps at all. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
don't.
a
He can,
interesting one there.
I don't know if Diebert can redo it, have that good of a season again because what they did last year was amazing. I didn't know if they were going to win a game last year. They ended up having a hell of a year. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you know, the bottom of the ACC is bad. It's bad, um,
Yeah.
man. But
And
it's a
there.
lot of interesting things though because I mean, there's a lot of teams that you're like, well, they could be like that whole middle is like
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of teams that could be great, but they can also be terrible. There's just
Yeah,
stuff to
you kind of
find
got a
out.
feeling like you know my if Miami is not in the ACC title game, that will be a
Something's going on
massive
wrong.
upset. Yeah,
It's
something's going terribly wrong.
Like Clemson last year.
Yeah,
Something
if
has to go completely
and if
wrong.
SMU and Louisville aren't in contention, you're pretty surprised. And then after that, it's who knows how the rest of it plays
Crapshoot.
out.
Definitely
You could
crapshoot.
almost talk me into anything.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
It's-
I think that's a good place to call it there. Next week, let's see. You want to do Big Ten next week?
yeah, I mean, it's their week coming
Yeah,
up on media days. So I mean, I'll read up on
they'll
some
be it.
things,
Yeah.
learn some things because
Hmm.
if you know me, you know least favorite conference in the world.
It's the Big Ten. Yeah.
It's the Big Ten, but obviously three straight national champions, and they're living their best life in just college football right now. So,
Yep.
um, but we'll talk about them.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll come back next week. Same thing. Our Big Ten tiers, and I'll try to remember that all those West Coast teams are actually in a conference because pretty sure last year I just completely forgot. I was like, nope, I don't believe this is real.
It's still so weird. Washington, Oregon, UCLA, USC. It's like, bro,
It's a affront to humanity.
it's like this is crazy.
It is. But all right, folks, that'll do it for us. We'll see you next week. Greg, buddy, I'll catch you next time.
Sir.
Thank you once again for listening, folks. As always, subscribe, rate, like us, do whatever your chosen podcast platform asks you to do. Tell your friends about us. Tell your rich friends about us, especially if any of them feel like sponsoring a podcast. You can check out all of the family of Alabama Take podcast at thealabamatake.com. You can also find a bunch of wonderful writings there from our lovely, talented roster of contributors. If you'd like to join that roster, shoot an email to thealabamatake@gmail.com. Blaine will get you set up. We're always looking for new voices here on the Alabama Take. You can check out Greg at Bama Hammer. He writes a lot about Alabama women's basketball there and other Alabama athletics. You can follow us on socials at Taken on Sports. Of course, drop that G. And as always, folks, keep it done up real good yourselves out there.